As human beings, we are naturally inclined to seek out immediate solutions to uncomfortable problems and obstacles, and when we prioritize quick wins, we often suffer from momentary success or failure. This default win-lose mode can sometimes work for the short term, however, as a work strategy, it can have grave consequences over the longer term. The Infinite Game book by Simon Sinek comes to liberate us from the finite mindset that operates with a scarcity mentality, so that we can gain long-term mentalities that change our reality into a reality suitable for many of our human needs, so we can feel safe and secured, and form perceptions that secure our lives as individuals and groups. The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. If there are at least two players, a game exists. And there are two kinds of games, finite games and infinite games. Finite games are played by known players. They have fixed rules. And there is an agreed-upon objective that, when reached, ends the game. Infinite games have infinite time horizons. And because there is no finish line, no practical end to the game, there is no such thing as winning an infinite game. And we might naturally ask, why can't we win an infinite game? To answer this question, we can say that the primary objective in an infinite game is to keep playing, to perpetuate the game. The more we looked at our world through Carsa's lens, the more we started to see infinite games all around us, games with no finish lines and no winners. For example, there is no such thing called winning in marriage or friendship. And although school years may be finite, there is no such thing as winning education or acquiring knowledge. Thinking from this perspective enables us to succeed in adopting infinite mindset in the infinite games, and it also enables us to face all the problems and difficulties of life. Bit to remember, adopting the infinite games mindset protects us from the problems and difficulties that we may face. Howard's Little League team was one of the worst teams in the league. But at the end of each lost game, his coach would say to the players, "It doesn't matter who wins or loses, what matters is how we played the game." This answer may not make sense in the world of sports. That's why one of the players raised his hand and asked the coach, "Then why do we keep score?" The importance of this way of thinking is that when we play in a finite game, we play the game to win. Even if we hope to simply play well and enjoy the game, that's why we hate to lose. But this doesn't happen when we play in an infinite game. The motivation to play in an infinite game is completely different. The goal is not to win, but to keep playing. It is to advance something bigger than ourselves or our organizations. Based on the writer's experience, anyone who wishes to lead in the infinite game must have a crystal clear just cause. A just cause is a specific vision of a future state that does not yet exist, a future state so appealing that people are willing to make sacrifices in order to help advance toward that vision. A just cause is not only the reason why we are in this game, it is an origin story. It is a statement of who we are, the sum total of our values and beliefs. A just cause is about the future. It defines where we are going and what are our dreams. It describes the world we hope to live in. Bit to remember, a just cause is a future state that makes us willing to make sacrifices in order to help advance toward the vision. In any game, there are always two currencies required to play: will and resources. Resources are tangible and easily measured. When we talk about resources, we're usually talking about money and financial resources. Those resources can be counted in multiple ways, such as revenues, profit, EBITDA, EPS, cash flow, venture capital, private equity, stock price, and so on. When we talk about will, we're talking about the feelings people have when they come to work. Will encompasses morale, motivation, inspiration, commitment, desire to engage, desire to offer discretionary effort, and so on. Will generally comes from inside sources like the quality of leadership and the clarity and strength of the just cause. In order to be a leader in your field, you should have a strong will, although resources is also very important. That's because without a strong will, man is stuck in the finite game mindset and its concerns. Bit to remember, will is an inside source that distinguishes people who adopt infinite games mindset. Ethical fading is a condition in a culture that allows employees to act in unethical ways in order to advance their own interests, often at the expense of others, while falsely believing that they have not compromised their own moral principles. Ethical fading often starts with small, seemingly innocuous transgressions that, when left unchecked, continue to grow and compound. While ethical lapses can happen anywhere, organizations run with a finite mindset are especially susceptible to ethical fading. What is important is that ethical fading is not an event. It doesn't just suddenly arrive like a switch was flipped, or without causes or motivations. It's more like an infection that festers over time. For example, the scandal of the famous American bank Wells Fargo, when the employees of the bank opened fake bank accounts in order to achieve the bank's annual profits. Investigations into the scandal at Wells Fargo discovered an internal review from a decade before the scandal broke that revealed that the organization's toxic conditions and unethical behavior had already been identified. That original review concluded that there was an incentive to cheat based on fear of job loss. Bit to remember, ethical fading is not an event that suddenly arrives, it is a result of accumulations and finite mindsets.